Hey, it's Sam. On February 5th, we're going to start the transit of Mars through Capricorn, where he's exalted. And he'll be exalted there until March 14th. So when Mars is exalted, it brings that fighting spirit into the sign that's much more strategic about our battles, where we're looking to learn from our mistakes, particularly the mistakes that happen when we are impulsive and when we do battle over things that we need to have greater resilience toward. And this allows us to really improve our life and not deplete our energy and waste our energy in useless struggles and battles. But in so doing, when Mars is in Capricorn, we become aware of all the battles, of the problems that we need to fix and that we need to solve. This is also a big nature of Capricorn. It's ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is really that awareness of things that those problems that you can't solve, that you can't fix. Because ultimately, we're not going to fix the problem of life, which is that no one makes it out alive. Ta-da! I know, very cheery message today, but it's true, and we have to face that with courage. And when we do face that with courage, not only do we learn to fight the good fight, so to speak, but we have greater humility toward others. We give other people a break, which is one of the biggest problems we have with Mars, is that we blame other people for why we're angry and frustrated. And I could say it forever, and I could still not make the point well enough, with myself also, that we're here to really have courage to face ourselves. And anything that is triggering us, and anyone that we're blaming, is because of something unresolved in ourselves. And that's a hard lesson to bear. Even though I say it and you hear it, it's very hard to practice it. For example, both Mars and the sign of Capricorn are both what are called tamasic energies. The tamasic energies are the things we're supposed to bear ourselves. We're supposed to keep that tamasic energy to ourselves, which means, like I just said, we're supposed to keep that Mars stuff to ourselves, that anger and frustration we're supposed to keep to ourselves. Instead, we throw it onto someone else because it's hard to bear it. It's hard to bear that frustration. So we explode and we're like, "Rah," and we lash out because it's hard for us to hold it. Think about what I'm saying. Now, again, there's a whole, especially now in psychology and whatnot, it's like, oh, you have to express it. Well, you can express it in a lot of ways. You can express it through physical activity, through disciplined action, again, like yoga, and disciplined actions like breath and mantra and pranayama is all taking that same energy of Mars. It's the same energy. It's just energy that's bottled up, that wants to fight to change what we know is wrong. We know something is wrong and we want to change it. We tend to think that it's someone is wrong, someone did something wrong, so I need to fight to change that, or change you, or tell you what you did, blah, 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 all of that, which again, that's part of life. But real growth doesn't usually come from that part of it. Now, again, if we have a hard time sticking up for ourselves or whatever, maybe that's part of the healing process. But eventually the real healing process is going to be when we face the source of the frustration and the weakness in ourselves. Again, that's why ultimately we need to bear that difficulty and use the power and the courage of Mars to destroy our own weaknesses and mental illusions. And again, that's hard. And we can do it once in a while, but doing it for a long period of time, again, that's what spiritual practices are. And that's what the sign of Capricorn is. Capricorn is where we don't just do something once, we do it over and over and over and over again. So when someone has Mars in Capricorn in their astrology chart, in their natal chart, they'll often be very disciplined, which is the nature of Mars, to be disciplined and strong enough to do those things that we know are right, but they'll be doing it for a long period of time. That creates a lot of spiritual growth. So these two things coming together, the sign of Mars and the courage to face our own weaknesses, and the power of time magnified, concentrated, internalized, which is the quality of Saturn, both of those things come together when Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So from February 5th to March 14th, that can be very important. And again, one of the biggest things, and I talk about this a lot, underneath it all is the sign of Capricorn and also Saturn are really the biggest energies of forgiveness. And forgiving those in the past of the things they did wrong. And I'm not saying externally forgive them, I mean internally. Internal forgiveness and not being angry and frustrated still, especially about those things that no one is ever going to apologize for. And the injustice, because that's a big part of life. We all have it. We've all been abused. We've all been mistreated. And again, that doesn't mean you have to still have people in your life who acted that way. It's an internal forgiveness. It's for your benefit, not theirs. We think that holding on to resentments is somehow injuring the other person. It's not. Holding on to resentments is like drinking poison and thinking it's going to hurt the other person. It hurts you. Forgiveness isn't for their benefit, it's for yours. You literally forgive them. And by the way, many times people make a big show of forgiveness that's not sincere either. When people apologize and it's a very political thing, that's also, again, many times we're very hollow around these things as well. People act like they forgive you for something maybe that you did, that you maybe didn't even really do, but they say, okay, I'm sorry, or they apologize, or they say they forgive you, and it's not sincere. They're just apologizing, for example, because they want the connection, not because they're really sorry about anything that happened. So again, this whole thing about resentment and anger and frustration will be a big theme for the next month and a half, starting February 5th with Mars in Capricorn. And so that's one of the biggest important shifts of 2024 that I talked about in my 2024 forecast. You can get that, especially get it for your sign, so you can know the 11 most important shifts and how they're going to affect you this year. Hey, it's Sam. At this webpage, you can get the forecast for your sign, the 2024 Vedic Astrology forecast for your sign based on the 11 most important shifts, how they affect your sign. It's going to be different if you're a Taurus than if you're a Leo, etc. And the 11 most important shifts were already talked about in my free 2024 forecast, but it's going to be a very transformative year. In February 5th to March 14th, for example, we have exalted Mars. It's going to be different for every sign, bringing great courage and skill, but facing difficulty. Then we have the eclipses in April, particularly the solar eclipse in Pisces. Mercury retrograde also up there at that time. Then we have Jupiter changing signs going into Taurus for the next year, starting in May. Then we have some big retrogrades over the summer, Saturn retrograde and Mercury retrograde. Then we have the eclipses at the end of the year, especially October 2nd, we have the solar eclipse in Virgo. Then we have a big Mars retrograde at the end of the year. So again, all of these things are going to affect each person differently based on your ascending sign, based on your rising sign. It's an incredibly important way to understand the entire year. And again, it might not seem like a lot, but it really is, because each of those different things I mentioned based on your rising sign is going to affect you completely differently. So at least get the one for your sign here on this page, but especially you should get the one for all 12 signs, because then you could see what's happening with your friends and family. And also, if you're an astrology student, you could see how to do each of these 12 zodiac signs as well, because you see me go through it. So go ahead and register while you still can. 2024 is just getting started. There's still time, and you want to be informed about what's happening. For a limited time, I'm offering 10 hours of masterclasses, Yoga and Vedic Astrology, Quantum Vedic Astrology, and Spiritual Astrology Masterclass. These are 3 great courses that will really help you a lot. Now, in case you don't know who I am, I taught the Astroved certification course, Dattatreya Shiva Baba, in 2010. Ravi Shankar published my book in 2018. I've been around for decades. I've been teaching these great classes, and if you go to VedicAstrologyEssentials.com, you can get this 90% off discount of these 3 great classes, more than 10 hours, guaranteed value. You can check this out. These 3 classes will give you all the necessary tools to begin to learn Vedic astrology. Please find me on YouTube at Sam Jeppy, Vedic Astrology Teacher. On there since 2007, thousands of hours of classes. Also on Facebook at Astrology Teacher, tons of articles updated regularly, and I'm on Instagram at Vedic Astrology 108, ongoing updates and interaction.